What is going on, guys? Gamers Goon here today with your Chicago Bears wish list, I guess, for the third day of the draft, rounds 4 through 7. In this draft, we have 148, 150, and 186. I do expect us to maybe move around a little bit because we did hear Ryan Poles saying it would be nice to have a couple more stabs at the board. Night 2, though, you're looking at what you came out of night 1. You filled a big concern in the secondary, and you filled out a little bit of the receiver position. I do think you stab another receiver probably at 186. But with 148, you got 42 more picks before you're up. So I don't know if the top offensive linemen like a Zach Tom or a Kellen Deach or are still up on the board, or a Matt Waletzko. I'm thinking maybe Marquise Hayes is still going to be on the board. I'm thinking Zach Thomas out of San Diego State could still be on the board. I think Thayer Munford out of Ohio State is another option for us. I love Daniel Faalele out of Minnesota. I think he could probably be hearing his name early tomorrow, but if he's there at 148, I run to the podium and scream his name. Lucita Smith, somebody I also think we could go after. But basically, when you're looking at who's going to be there for us, I think Marquise Hayes might find his way there. Zach Thomas, another guy I think will be there. And Thayer Munford. I don't think Faalele will, but I just named the 3 that I think will be there or potentially could be there. And then if that fails, you could always go the route of doing a little bit of a reach or maybe even trading back and going somebody like Averdarian Lowe, who I really like, obviously being from Illinois. I've seen him play a lot. Phenomenal guy, phenomenal story that he has. You can go with a guy like Alex Lindstrom and move Cody Whitehair out of that center position. And you can move Sam Mustipher off the entire offensive line. You could maybe go with Josh Sills, somebody I think that a little bit underrated, but I could see him being somewhat good for a team going forward. But the options thin out. So if you're lucky enough to sit at the board and have a Marquise Hayes there, I'm taking him. Obviously, there's still the bigger names, the Darian Kennards, the Zach Toms, the Kellen Deach. I mean, if they're there, you take them without question. But I don't think they're there. I think you're looking at a Zach Thomas, you're looking at a Marquise Hayes, and you're looking at a Thayer Munford probably around that 150, 148, 150 spot. I think you go 2 offensive linemen around there. Faalele's there. I go Faalele also. So that's basically what you're looking at when you target offensive linemen in that spot. And then you go receiver to cap off the draft, assuming no trades. I'm not going to assume any trades. Somebody I think might be there at 186. Justin Ross. I think he's a really talented player. The problem is he has an injury history that might concern some teams. If that is a concern for some teams, I think the Bears could go him at 186. After that, though, I really don't have a big target at 186. I'd rather trade down a little bit and get somebody like an Isaiah Weston. Isaiah Weston, also a bigger receiver than what we have, 6'4". We could go with Devin Williams out of Oregon. I believe he is 6'5". Yes, he's 6'5". You can go one of those bigger receivers. I think what I want to see out of our receivers here, I mean, yeah, I think Devin Tompkins is good, but I think what you want to do with your last pick in this draft is you want to find one of these big body receivers like a Justin Ross that could go get you a jump ball. I don't think Kevin Austin Jr. is in play, 6'2". I would love it if he was in play at 186. I don't think he will be in play. I'd see one of these smaller receivers like a Romeo Doubs or a Khalil Shakur or Kyle Phillips or a Calvin Austin, one of those guys, slide a little bit with how much of a priority the receiver has been at this draft. But I think you go a bigger body receiver. Also, something I wouldn't be surprised, especially if we trade, is I could see us going tight end, whether that's Daniel Bellinger or Charlie Kolar, or I could also see us maybe going to Jalen Weidenmeyer or Cole Turner. Those are guys that I think we could target. I don't think they are sold on Cole Kmet, and maybe they find somebody in that late round that they like. Also, you're looking at maybe an Ed Rush or Khalil Mack's gone. You might be trading Robert Quinn coming up. You're looking at the edge rushers. Maybe you don't have somebody super high, but if you're able to trade back a little and get some of those picks in the 200s, maybe a Jeffrey Gunter at a Coastal Carolina or a Trey Turner makes some sense. I'm not really in love with any of the top edge rushers. Maybe a Tyreek Smith. I think he could be solid still. Kingsley Enagbare. I think he's a phenomenal player. If he's there at 186, or if you happen to make some moves back, maybe he's the guy. I definitely think linebackers also in play. You could see a Damone Clark, a little guy a guy that's had injury concerns, also. But at that point, it's great value to get a guy that could probably be a first-round prospect. A JoJo Doman. I think he's a phenomenal guy. He's one of the better linebackers in this class. I thought he was going to hear his name called on day 3. He did not hear his name called on day 3. He's still on the board. So maybe it's a JoJo Doman. And at that point, I don't really know what else to go. I had some safety prospects. I don't think you go them. You might see another corner, maybe. Whether it's a Tariq Woolen, if he starts to slide, or a Joshua Williams. I love that kid out of Fayetteville State. A Kobe Bryant, somebody I could also see us taking. Or maybe a Josh Jobe. But I think we're probably loaded up on our secondary. I think what we're probably going to do. If we can't make a trade, I want a trade to get more picks, especially in the middle rounds. I want to be able to go up and take a Zach Tom, and I want to be able to go up and take maybe a Tariq Woolen also, or maybe even trade up and go like a Perrion Winfrey, who somehow is still on the board. Somebody we thought might slide to that early day 2, still on the board. I think maybe he could be an option for us. And defensive interior is something we are going to kind of struggle with over the course of the season, I believe. So I definitely think some of these players are going to be in play. As I am McCollum, somebody I think could be in play. Basically, you don't look at quarterback, obviously, for obvious reasons. I don't think you look at running back. I don't think you look at a safety. But everything else to me is open. I think this team has a lot more needs than people think. People think it's just receiver, thinks it's just offense. You don't have Akeem Hicks. You don't have Khalil Mack. You might not be having Roquan Smith. You need upgrades all over the secondary. I would not stop with just one corner. Even though I do like our corners currently, I don't think that there's a problem with depth. That's something we concerned ourselves with last year. We didn't have the depth until later in the year when they started playing some of the practice squad guys that they had buried down, like a Thomas Graham. I wanted him to play a lot sooner, and they didn't play him. When you do that, you kind of put yourself in a little bit of handcuffs. So maybe you're at 148, somebody like a Sam Howell's on the board, and you end up trading back and getting a couple more picks, a couple more shots at the board. You get 150. You're not losing really much. You're moving back 2 picks, basically. You're letting them pick 2 picks earlier than what you were going to do, and you might still be able to get somebody like a Hayes, like a Tariq Woolen, like a Romeo Dobbs. I don't know really where these guys are going to go. Obviously, we've seen a lot of guys go way crazier spots like Cole Strange. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. Bright and early, 9 a.m. I'll be up for it. I think we are going to make some type of trade to throw more darts at the board. That's really been one of the biggest sayings I've been thinking about going into this draft. I forget who said it, but they were saying the more darts you have to throw at the bar, the more likely they are to hit. I think that's very applicable to this draft for the Bears. I think we have a lot of positions of need, a lot of positions that aren't solidified, especially in a new regime. They might not like Cole Kmet as much as the last regime did. I know the Bears fan base doesn't like Cole Kmet. I think he is a solid player, but I would not be opposed to adding a secondary tight end there because I think 2 twin tight end sets could go very well for us. Maybe they don't really view Khalil Herbert or Montgomery as receiving backs or either of them in those situations. Maybe we do get somebody that did what Tariq Cohen did. Maybe we go out and we do get a pass catching running back. I don't think that's in play, but it could be. We're really going to learn about a lot about our new regime in the next day. We learned that he likes defense. I don't really have concerns with Ryan Poles finding offense. He was an offensive lineman himself. I think he will be able to identify guys at 148 and at 150 that are good offensive linemen that will trick us late. And then I don't know what you do with 186, whether it's drafting another receiver, which I think we do need another receiver. I don't with the way I'm looking at it, you got Mooney as receiver 1, Pringle as receiver 2, or Equanimous St. Brown as receiver number 2. And you got Velus Jones as the slot receiver. That's the way I'm looking at things going into the season. I think you might be able to add somebody that could overstep an Equanimous St. Brown. A little bit of a bigger body receiver like a Kelvin Austin if he's there. Or like a Devin Williams, who we might be able to get later in the day. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. But thank you guys for watching. And I will be also reviewing round 4 through 7 tomorrow morning when it concludes. We got a couple good names tomorrow. Drake Woolen being one of them. Jalen Armour Davis still on the board. There's a couple good players still on the board for what we could potentially go after. I did name 2 corners that I think could be good additions. That's more so for depth. For us, it's probably more looking at the offensive linemen that are on the board. If a Zach Tom starts to fall, or somebody like that, or a Darian Kennard starts to fall, that's what we're looking at. But thank you guys for watching.